I have to say, it is so good to be home. I started out in this very district some 7 years ago. And I remember last night, meeting a Toastmaster who looked at me and said, I'm 20. And I said, 20? He said, yeah, I'm 20. How old are you? Safe to say he's missing right now. It's a pleasure to be home because so much of my journey has been built in this district with many faces that are seated here. And it's an absolute honor to return, not just with a trophy, not just with a title, but with stories, and I hope a bit more wisdom than when first you met me. I'd like to talk about something that's become a foundational part of my journey, and that is passion. That is the love of what I do, that is transforming my entire career and your career through passion. Now, don't let the evidence fool you. I don't fancy myself a romantic. But even I have to admit that love in its many forms is a transformative force in our lives and in our careers. And it's that second part I'd like to talk about today, transforming your career with love. It means embracing what drives you, chasing what inspires you, chasing what makes you feel truly alive in the professional world. It's more than finding a job. It's finding a calling and letting your passion serve as the engine that propels you forward. Passion is often described as the secret sauce of success, the Coca-Cola recipe within us. When we're passionate about what we do, work does not become a burden. It becomes a fulfilling journey. When you love what you do, every challenge becomes an opportunity. Every setback a lesson, every success a reward. Think about the people you admire the most in your industry or perhaps in this room. Isn't it amazing that we tend not to think of these people as mere employees? The label employee is for us, the mortals. The people we admire are revolutionaries. We look at them and see men and women on a mission. Passion fuels their progress. But here's the truth. Passion is not something that can be forced. You can't force yourself to love something simply because it's prestigious or lucrative, which is something I had to learn the hard way repeatedly. My freshman year in university, they asked the 300 or so of us why we chose a program in computer science. The funniest but most honest answer comes from a young Turkish lady. She raises her hand and she says, "I'm just here for the money." And we laugh. But by graduation day, less than a third of our number remain. No, you can't force passion any more than you can force yourself to love Jurek. I'm joking, I love Jurek. We must find what we love. And only when we commit to it can we describe both success and fulfillment. Now, I didn't always know what I loved. It wasn't always so obvious for me. I grew up at a time in Zimbabwe where you were either a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. At the end of school and at the precipice of the real world, I asked myself, what will I do with my life? I wanted a career in something I loved, something I was passionate about. But again, where I came from, the only real passion was the paycheck. So I got a real job. In tech, I did the hours, I worked the system, I climbed the ladders, and some days were thrilling. But I would end each day with a heart that knew that I could do more elsewhere. Like I was trapped in a prison of my own making. Have you ever been there? And I wasn't the only one that saw it either. When I would get fired, inevitably, my managers would find a way to work it into the conversation. I'm so sorry, Cyril, we have to let you go, but Have you considered doing something you actually love? Whatever, Zbigniew. Where's my severance package? I would look at my managers. I'd look at my managers and I'd see men and women who were living their dream. They've been in the organization for years. They've built something. They have a reputation. This is their life's mission. And I only get to be a part of it. That's why they hired me. These guys loved working in a call center. And I don't say that condescendingly. They were living their dream. Meanwhile, my dream got to live for about an hour and a half each week in a Toastmasters meeting. It made me feel sick. And I knew that something had to change. Now, pursuing a career that you love isn't always easy. There are risks involved. Financial, social, even emotional. But that's where the beauty of passion comes into play. When you love what you do, it becomes easier to take risks because your passion provides the confidence and the motivation you need to face the unknown. Many of us, like myself, have stuck in places that don't spark joy because we were afraid to take that jump into something new or untested. But think about it for a second. The most rewarding careers are often shaped by people who take a chance, by people who explore their curiosity, by people who refuse to settle for less than they can actually love. The best things in life lie on the other side of fear, and the best careers are shaped by people who bet on themselves. It's not always easy, but the reward is worth the risk. So I took the risk. I made that jump, stepped over into the dark, into the unknown, took the leap of faith, and it led me to become unemployed. Yes, friends, in 2022, when I received the invitation to speak in the semis of the International Speech Contest, I am jobless, living on my savings, and trying to go pro as a speaker in a country where English is not the first language. If you think that's enough of a mess, in a country where English is not the first language, here I am trying to establish my career. And logic is saying, get a job. Get your lifeline back. Get your safety net back. You've been there? But passion is saying that thing again, bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. Now, friends, I'm sure you appreciate my dilemma because there's solid arguments for both sides. Hear me out. 2022, the World Semis are in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Zimbabwean, which means I need a visa to go to the bathroom. I wish I was making that up. To get an American visa, I need a Polish residence card, the infamous Karta Pobytu. But to get a Polish residence card, I need a job. If you think that's enough of a mess, a couple of weeks after they invite me to Nashville, I get robbed. They steal my wallet with my current residence card. So tell me, Cyril, my mind says, bet on what? I'll tell you what, my heart says. You were 3 years old the first time they put you in front of a camera. You were 4 years old the first time you ever stood on a stage. You were 9 years old the first time you gave your own speech. You were 11 the first time you spoke in front of members of parliament. You were 13 when you first competed, Cyril. You lost that contest. You came dead last. But 5 more times you came back, Cyril, to try again. You were 18 the first time you won a major contest. So how dare you? How dare you come this far to only come this far? Is a paycheck really worth more than your passion? I remember sitting on the floor of of my tiny bathroom and feeling a mixture of shame and rage. But most importantly, I remember coming to a realization that had eluded me for much of my life, a realization of what it was, what it is I love, and that is to speak. I love to speak. I don't remember ever understanding something so clearly. Now, pursuing a career in something you love, well, that might seem naive or impractical. I can't afford to just follow my dreams, Cyril. I need security. I need that paycheck. I need stability. I need to be ready first. If you've ever thought any of these, rest assured you're not alone. Many people have felt the exact same way, and more to that, these are really valid concerns. Everyone is experiencing life, and life hits us differently. But again, this is where the beauty of passion comes into play. When you love what you do, you're not just showing up for a paycheck. You're showing up with a plan and a purpose. That job in tech, your purpose is to learn how to build for your passion. That job in sales or marketing, your purpose is to learn how to package your passion for the world. That job in a call center, my purpose was to learn how to handle difficult conversations. A skill that I would need to negotiate a replacement residence card, an American visa, and a part-time job in under 2 months. It won't be easy or smooth. You will face challenges, you'll be punched in the mouth, you'll experience resistance. But when you love what you do, you find a way to figure it out, to adapt, to innovate, to persevere. And the more you overcome, the more you start to believe that what seemed impractical yesterday is now a reality, because passion can turn obstacles into stepping stones. I think back to the days when I was nothing more than a young up-and-coming, and I look back on that journey and think how far we came and how much we had to overcome along the way. It is the most fortifying feeling in the world. Perhaps many of you can think back to your victories, small or large. If you could overcome those, what could stop you now? You've encountered scars along the way, you've failed, you've fallen forward, but every time you've stood up, your being here is evidence that you've got what it takes to commit to what you love. And perhaps the world will be better off for that value you could give for committing to what you love. When I became the world champion of public speaking in 2025, it was immediately impressed upon me that this wasn't an end. If anything, it was a beginning. You see, as a world champion, I was a speaker with 2 speeches. One for the semis, one for the finals. And I want to go pro. What that means is I need to be able to speak anytime, anywhere. But more than that, the biggest lesson I had to learn was stepping out of the spotlight and supporting others to find their spotlight. And it's so difficult to let go of it. Because in Toastmasters, they have to clap for me, whether they like it or not. And they are paying attention, whether they like it or not. And the biggest part of the journey for me was learning how to step aside and support others in finding their own voice. Support others along that journey of development, of growth. It's one of the most fulfilling things ever, but it did come with a lesson. Loving your career is not about instant gratification, which was the next lesson I learned. It's about setting yourself up for long-term success. The best careers are shaped around years of experience, of knowledge, and dedication to something you love, not just trophies. It would be a shame if at the end of the day they remember you for the trophies you took, not the value you gave. And perhaps it's a question we all want to ask ourselves at the end of the day. Do we want to stand as people with millions of trophies but no hearts touched? Or 1 million hearts touched even if we don't get the trophy? Perhaps you know some people who seem to never retire. They never seem to run out of energy. because the passion for what they do has never burned out, and it doesn't seem like it will anytime soon. That is the beauty of passion. It doesn't fizzle out. It doesn't burn out. It propels you throughout your career. And that, my friends, is the definition of both success and fulfillment. And it's something that I wish on each and every one of you here. I come to this point where I have to separate passion from motivation. It's a question I've had to ask myself quite a few times. What is the difference? I want to talk about passion. Don't we all tend to think of passion through rose-colored glasses, just a love story? And wouldn't you agree with me that motivation sometimes is in the morning when you feel like doing 50 push-ups because it's the morning and I've got a journey, until you realize it's cold outside and you have to fight against the blanket? Or I think the best way to describe motivation is the beginning of the calendar year, New Year's resolution. You feel so motivated, I'm going to do it. This year is the year that I leave the cult of Toastmasters. You're all still here. That's motivation. Short term, fizzles out. Passion is a life's journey. It's a mission. We carry it with us to our grave. So it begs the question, how do you fall in love with your career? What is it that you're going to start doing from this room that can forever reframe how you look at yourself and your career? Well, we've discussed the importance of curiosity and exploration. You know you will have to take risks. Bet on yourself. We may need patience. We know it may take some time. There's going to be plenty of evolution along the journey. It's not about instant gratification. As you progress in your career, you're going to realize your passion evolves, and that creates space for reinvention and for higher levels of mastery. In fact, this has become my life's journey, becoming an authority on that which I so love. There are two elements that are not so spoken about as it concerns falling in love with your career. And I think these are two bits that we have to talk about if we are to have a realistic view of the journey ahead of us. You ready for number one? Number one, learn how to frame failure. We tend to think of passion, again, through rose-colored glasses. We think of passion as a Rocky movie. I'll chase a few chickens and I'll score the knockout. But isn't it true that no plan survives contact with the enemy? You get punched in the mouth the first time and you realize perhaps this is not so easy. And unfortunately, you start to doubt yourself. You start to question yourself. Or, how many have done this? You go into the industry, you're a newbie, and then you meet the industry giants. And then you see the gap between you and them, and you think, I could never get there. It's never going to be me. Unless we learn how to frame failure, we will doubt ourselves at every step. And remember what it takes to get there through passion, to bet on yourself. So we need to learn to frame failure. I'm going to take a tangent here and tell you a short story that has been close to my heart ever since 2019. And I share this with you because Jerzy is here with us today. It's 2019, a district conference, not very different from this one. I've participated in 2 contests. I've walked into Toastmasters with the belief that I know everything there is to know about public speaking. In fact, I am the premier public speaker. And they've announced the results. And for the first contest, I've had to walk up stage and accept my silver medal before coming back to accept my bronze medal. And I don't remember ever feeling so crushed. It's at the gala dinner. The plate is in front of me. I can barely touch my food. I can barely see through the tears as I look at my silver medal and my bronze medal, which back then represent failure to me. And I feel a gentle hand on my shoulder, a gentle hand that says, and I quote verbatim, word for word, I've never forgotten this, I know what it feels like to have come so far and feel like you're still further off. To feel like you're so close and then look at the results and think you're so far. The next time you come here, young man, make it obvious in the mind of the dumbest judge that you came ready. And I've never forgotten those words. It's been a timeless lesson in framing failure. We need to get comfortable with it. We need to fall, stand up, and laugh it off. Failure cannot be a reason for us to question ourselves. And until we are comfortable with failure, which is a very weird thing to say, comfortable with failure, the idea of pursuing passion will always seem like a mad dream. The second thing that I've learned is the importance of building a network, a strong network of like-minded people. Passion is contagious, and these relationships will both inspire you and push you forward. I can honestly say to become a better speaker, I needed to meet quite a few authors, poets, singers, dancers, and a few alcoholics. But we were united in purpose. And it's as we say in Africa, it takes a village to raise a child. Surround yourself with people who see the value in your passion, and even on those days when you don't feel like carrying on, those days when you feel like walking away, you can at least count on someone to hold you straight. So the two elements of pursuing your passion that are not so spoken about is learning how to frame failure and surrounding yourself with people who share the same mindset. These are endearing lessons that have propelled me, and I hope will continue to propel me to new heights in my life and in my career. And I can honestly say, as a man newly committed to a lifelong kind of love, I take it to be a great privilege to be able to continue this journey with my best friend and a woman that I genuinely love. You, behind the camera. So yes, friends, loving your career is not about finding the perfect job or the right moment. It's about identifying what you really care about and letting passion serve as the engine that propels you to deliver value. When you love what you do, the impossible becomes possible. You find joy in the process, fulfillment in the journey, and you will encounter success in ways you never imagined possible. So go ahead, friends, fall in love with your career and watch how it transforms your life. Thank you very much.